So welcome back to another episode of 222. I want to thank you guys for joining us. If it's your first time here, I hope you enjoy what you watch. If you do, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that stuff. Got information down in the description with the website, Patreon, all the doobly-doo stuff, as Wheezy Wader says. So just check that out. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them below. If you have any thoughts on what we should talk about, we'll bring them up in another episode some other time. Today, I do want to welcome what we're deeming as our resident Bible nerd, Clay Clary. And today, we're going to just go through his story. He wanted to share his story with you guys and with me about, where he's come from, where God's brought him from, and where he's at now, and what God's doing in his life now through, sometimes we got to go through the garbage to get to the good stuff. No doubt. We all have that in our lives at some point, and that's how typically people find God, is through those, I screwed up, sorry God, I've hit rock bottom, have nowhere else to turn, and then we jump in.
Absolutely.
So let's start, I guess, like any good book, we'll start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about who you used to be.
Well, I would say let me just say I've grown up in church all my life. I grew up in a Baptist church, so I definitely had a lot of religious upbringing. I had all the Calvinist ways down pat, so I was basically being trained to be a good Pharisee. And it's so silly when you look back on just what you think you're capable of and your own self-righteousness, and self-righteousness just does not get you anywhere. And it's even more ironic that you can even have that sense of importance or over better than somebody else through even being a kid. Like you get this establishment in your little community of peers that I'm the better Bible verse knower than you, and I know more scriptures than you, and I can get more gold stars on the chart in Sunday school than you. And
I was definitely not that kid. I'm just saying, I did go to church when I was younger, but I didn't understand any of it. So I was usually the first kid. We had a Sunday school teacher that, and I doubt she's watching this. I don't remember her name. Doesn't matter. But like,
she remembers you.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, I was like 5. So 35 years later, if she's still alive and around and watching this somehow, hi. But here's what she would do is she would have everybody stand up, right? Mm-hmm. And then she'd start asking these questions. Mind you, like, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Like about the Bible or nothing. And if you got it wrong, you had to sit down. And she would call on me and my sister first.
Wow.
Just to call us out. And I was like, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel the love of Jesus. But anyway, sorry. I just wanted to, yeah.
No.
I was complete opposite of that. Yeah. So continue.
Yeah. And I was the kid in the Sunday school class that would call out kids like you and be like, well, if you studied your Bible more, you would know the answer to this question, or, whatever. I mean, I was a total jerk.
Yeah. I don't even know if we had a Bible other than like the big awkward family Bible that everybody has sitting on the coffee table that, nobody ever reads.
Yeah.
I'll just look through it to, glance at the pictures, but that was about it.
I think I was getting a new flavor every year just to, make sure I knew all of them and all the different answers and whatever version somebody wanted to throw at me. Well, King James says this, whereas the ESV says this. I don't think there was an ESV then, but anyway.
See, resident Bible nerd.
Yeah. I mean, and I loved it.
No, that's good.
It was my identity at that time, and it was the only thing I had any control over. My parents divorced when I was 5 years old, and it was just totally chaotic. And that was the thing that I could do, and I could latch on to, and I knew, like, for a fact that I could excel in this. And it's still hard for me today to not fall back into that and be like, well, the one thing I can win at is knowing about Jesus. And I'm like, is that really a bad thing? Maybe in the long run.
If it's just knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's all about the him knowing you,
Right.
not
Yeah.
the you knowing him,
Yeah.
or about him.
Right.
And so that was kind of my stronghold, and when you start getting into your teenage years, you get into all these different youth programs, and I mean, I was in all of them, and they just absolutely love telling you how you're going to screw up your life by having sex outside of marriage. You're going to end up getting pregnant, and she'll end up aborting the baby, and your whole life's going to be this lifetime drama, and we're all just going to sit and laugh because we told you so. And I mean, we sat through videos that had to have been traumatizing. I mean, there was this one speaker that was basically saying that the world is so corrupt and wicked that you have to have an STD test to prove to whoever you're dating that you're not been sleeping around, because nobody tells the truth, and you should expect the same from them, and just like that, all the things.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when somebody actually did do that.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm not saying like don't talk to your future spouse about those types of things. You kind of want to open some doors, but to walk in and be like, you got to take a test. Sorry. Don't think that'll fly real well with most women.
I never demanded that.
But it's a conversation.
Yeah.
But not just a go take a test.
Oh, I know, man.
Or else we can't get married. Period.
Seriously, who does that?
Sorry.
Then there was one particular meeting. It was a True Love Waits program, and
I remember that.
It was a big thing.
Yeah,
then.
It was a big to do. Yeah.
And the guy who was doing it was a doctor in our area, and he was just he was the cool guy in church. Like everybody wanted to be like him, and his kids were cool. I mean, it was so we're like, everybody's signing up for this one, because we're not going to get the, we're going to crack open the King James and we're going to read through how all these different things are an abomination, and you're an abomination because you've thought it. And, and so like, add to the trauma, so like, maybe we can actually ask those cool questions that we all want to ask. And so we're all like sitting there in the back room waiting, for the meeting to start. And we're all like, okay, who's going to ask this? And who's going to ask that? And so we're all sitting there and we're waiting. And I mean, God bless the man. He sat through some, intense questions from masturbation to, anything. I mean, if you think about it, we thought about it and asked.
Well, I mean, teenage boys.
Yeah.
In general. I mean, if there's an opportunity to talk about that kind of stuff, teenage boys are going to take advantage of that. Typically.
No doubt. And we're all stupid. It was like, at the end of it, he had actually bought all of us gold wedding rings as like the seal of the deal.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you passed. This is your, commitment that you're saying you're going to wait for your wife. And, it was funny, right when he was like giving that whole spiel and he had getting them all out, one of my buddies, he had dropped his ring, and he goes, "Oh crap, I just lost my virginity." As it goes running down the aisle, so you're like, but that was just, but that to me was like the pinnacle moment on my religious achievement, is that, I've got this thing that, sets me apart from everybody else in the world. It sets me apart from even my peers in church. And, I'm like the religious elite now. I had it on my necklace, and my mom had given me a necklace with a cross on it when I got baptized, and I baptized at 8. And so, I had my religious relic, band there, and, and that self-righteousness, you just keep going, and you think you got it all figured out at that point.
Yeah, I have a feeling though that this story's coming to a but then.
Yeah.
And if you're not there yet, keep going.
No. But I would say a really hard thing that kind of really strengthened that religious self-reliance was the church that I was going to had a major falling out, and the pastor had to leave. They threw him out, and he didn't do anything. The only thing that he did was he didn't go see people all the time and talk to them. He was kind of the antisocial pastor, but I mean, the guy delivered the word every day,
right?
But that was just traumatic.
And just so everybody knows, that's not just the pastor's job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christ has called us all to go make those things, to make those visits.
Yeah.
Just so, if somebody's out there watching that doesn't understand that concept.
Yeah.
It's not just the pastor's job. Now, a pastor can do that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. Even, introverted ones
Yeah.
can do that kind of stuff, but again, it's not just their job. Their job is to bring the word and to train people and to disciple people so that they can go out and talk to people.
The body of Christ can be the body of Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do all the things that we're all supposed to do.
Yeah.
Not just pay the pastor to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in the society, some churches that are out there, they still feel that, we're paying him for that. That's his job.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know better. We know
yeah.
better.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
But that was hard. And then the church that split off from that one, we were going to, my family and I, and I was in my later teens at that point, and even then, that church they stayed together, but a lot of people started to trickle off just because they just couldn't hold the community together. They tried to break off and be like an elder-led church, and a lot of people were like, that's kind of weird, we don't want to do that, we're not Presbyterians, we're Baptists, and all the stuff. But it ended up being that in my later teens and into my 20s, I wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. And you're like, what is the church for? There's millions of churches, everybody's hating on each other. I mean, I was like I said, the religious elite. I was learning how to take down Mormons, take down Methodists, take down Presbyterians, and I could do it like, left and right. And it was, all that is in your head then to make the church the enemy. It's like all those things that you learned that were supposed to set you apart and make you the better Christian then made you the skeptic. Because you're like, well, everybody's got their spin on this. What is it that makes, if Christianity was true and it was right, then everybody would be on the same page. They would all be loving Jesus, all the things.
Right.
Especially as a teenager, you think you got it all together. And, all things that are pertinent to life. And
absolutely.
That's just, no. You know nothing.
Yeah.
Get out while you still know everything, know. And it's so I ended up working my first job, which was with some interesting folks. It was a Whole Foods store, and they were really good friends. And I grew a lot in my faith then because through college ministry, Chi Alpha in Radford, and that's where I ended up actually meeting my future wife. It was there that I ended up getting baptized in the Holy Spirit, and it just seemed like there was a whole new reality to God that was just like, whoa, man, this is incredible. Like, what do I need to be doing? You start thinking about the natural courses, like, I need to be a pastor, I need to be a youth leader, I need to be, part of a campus ministry or whatever. You go through all the things that you're supposed to do. And, but the job I was working at fell through because they couldn't afford to keep me. It was just a small-time operation. So then I ended up working at a convenience store. I grew up in Pulaski, so if any of you are watching in Pulaski, hi, Fast Shop people, I miss you all. But so I was working there, and I took that on as my ministry at that point. And I mean, we had people who were drug addicts, and I mean, it was a rough part of town. I mean, we had the biggest drug dealer in the block living right behind the store, and he would come there every day, and it's just like, man, like, they're coming to me. I don't even have to go to them, you know, they're coming to me. And I got them as a captive audience. So, you know, I mean, I was giving out Bibles, and I was, you know, praying with them. I was hearing their stories, and I mean, it was a really incredible time. And you know, you really feel invincible in those moments. Because you know, God's working; He's doing awesome things. You're seeing people's lives change, and it was around that time that I reconnected with Cassandra, my future wife. Now wife.
That was good. And current.
Yeah, and current wife. So we started dating, and I mean, I just knew from the first date, I was like, I'm going to marry this girl. This just, you know, there's that moment when I was driving down 58, coming towards Galax. We were going to the smokehouse here, and I was just like, I had this like out of body moment. Like, I can see her riding in this passenger seat the rest of my life. Like, there's no question here at all. So then it's like, now what? Like, this is just the first date.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I get that. Been there.
So,
I guess. Yeah.
But so I mean, I was just head over heels. There was nobody else I wanted to be with. She wasn't so sure. It took some convincing on her part, but you know, I was dogmatic. I knew what I wanted in life, and you know, I started going to her church, getting involved there, and I mean, just great people, you know, and was taking what I was learning back to Fast Shop and giving out the gospel, and you know, again, you really feel like you're invincible in those moments. But and all of the, you know, mental persecution growing up of how you can ruin your life and how you can fail by being sexually deviant or anything else, nobody explained to me. And even my mom, in her best efforts, tried to make dating and relationships and marriage an awesome thing, and really tried to emphasize that, you know, even despite the fact that she had a failed marriage. I mean, she's in an awesome marriage now, and so, you know, she always tried to push me towards that. But even that, nobody teaches you how to navigate your desires, you know, and nobody teaches you, like, you're gonna just be completely stupid and not be able to think through, you know, truly logical things.
Hormones are an evil thing.
Yes.
Like a very, very evil thing.
Yes, they completely cloud all good sense of reasoning.
It's like a sexual drunkenness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just, yeah.
You throw everything to the wayside.
Yeah. That's like, and I'll go for more of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then sometimes you're like, well, we already did, you know, this has already happened. Why not?
Yeah,
you know, I mean, why not again?
And it can be just, you know, innocent enough, just kissing, you know, hugging, cuddling, you know, and it's like, you know, you just feel like $1 billion.
I had a youth pastor say once, it wasn't just to me, it was to the whole group, but it definitely resonated. He said, French kisses lead to Roman hands. Let me repeat that for the ones in the back. French kisses lead to Roman hands. And I was like,
I called it that.
Roman hands. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Mm-hmm. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
and I was like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lord. Sorry, Lord, that I get that.
Yeah. I shouldn't get that, but I do.
Yeah. But anyway,
so,
sorry.
No, but seriously, I mean I think it's such a fallacy in the church that they try to set you up to be a righteous individual, to follow the commands of God, to know what He doesn't like.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody's ever honest about, like, when you are truly attracted to somebody and they are likewise reciprocating that attraction,
Right.
and they think you're great. And, like, for somebody like me who's hated myself all my life, like, to think that somebody else thinks that you're, the most amazing thing on the planet other than your mother. Sorry, Mom.
Right.
Just,
right. Yeah.
It's like, man, I will take on the world.
Yeah.
And
you eat that kind of attention up.
Yeah.
Because that's what guys do.
And it is intoxicating. Going back to that sexual drunkenness. I mean, it's just like,
you need to copyright that or something.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But
because
get a t-shirt.
We'll make it into a t-shirt. I don't know how, but yeah.
Yeah. Like sexual alcoholic or something.
Yeah. I'm in the SA club.
Yeah. I love it. That's just.
I'm okay to say that now that I'm married, but not before marriage. And
right.
That's kind of where we're heading with
right.
this.
Yeah. So to not rabbit trail, our relationship got far too passionate, and one night we slept together, and Cassandra ended up getting pregnant, and it was that moment where kind of like, well, I don't guess this is that bad, because I'm dead set on marrying this girl anyway. So, like, it could be worse. You start the general rationalization of your sins, and but I did make that covenant that I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is I let that pursuit of somebody thinking that I'm awesome and that I'm capable of doing anything, and all of the patches or the band-aids that gives to your personality and to all the hurts that you've experienced in your life, and it to really cloud what you know and what you have committed to do, which is to stay pure, to give yourself to one person. And Cassandra, she had a wild upbringing, and she did not have that commitment and had since made that commitment in the time that she had really started to follow Jesus.
Right.
And it was really devastating to her, because that was always something that she struggled with, was those same attractions, those same cover my hurts, this is great, I feel good, why does this have to be bad? But I felt like in that situation I had to be the more responsible one, because I was the one that made that commitment truly. But I just threw that out the window for what I wanted. And
yeah.
So there I was. I've impregnated my girlfriend. My religious self-reliance is for nothing. What do I have left? And we ended up having a major fallout, and that was probably the most devastating thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And I just remember sitting in my room going, God, I know that I've messed up. I mean, I know I've really messed up, and I've got a kid coming, and I've got the woman that I want to marry and spend the rest of my life with. Don't want to have nothing else to do with me. And I'm like, what do I've ruined my witness at the place that I work, you know. Now I've got a baby mama like the rest of them, and they're all like, "Hey man, we got your back." You know? And like, no,
and they'll even give you a way to make some money, right?
No, this is not. No, you're missing the point. So I was totally at that broken point, and I was just like, if it means, let me back up. The first point was, like, please, God, like in my own extreme selfishness, I was like, I don't want this kid. I'm ruined. I've messed up. I don't want this kid. And God spoke to me very clearly, and He said, you got two options. He's like, I can make sure that this kid doesn't happen, if that's what you're really asking for. But you're going to lose everything. And you're going to lose my spirit, and you'll never get it again. You're going to lose everything else that's attached to it. Or you can have this kid, and you can treat him like he's God's gracious gift to you. And I'm like, so you're telling me I have a choice? And it's like, is it worth the choice? And I was like, well, I don't, you're trying to reason through, like, this is, like, what is He trying to tell me here? Like, this is insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you would, like, smite some kid because I asked for it, And
well, see, God already knew what choice you were going to make,
Yeah.
And so He'll put it in front of you.
Yeah. It's that heart testing moment.
Yeah.
There's Bible nerd moment. It's like Abraham, when he's told by God to sacrifice his son, the son that has been promised to him.
Yeah.
And he's saying, you're going to go up to the mountain, sacrifice him. You're like, but this is the son that I've been waiting for forever here, For 100 years I've been waiting for this son. But he was being tested in his heart. So when he's raising up that knife, and he's like, you're going to provide this sacrifice, and it's not going to be this boy.
Yeah.
And he does.
Right. Absolutely.
And then God says, now I know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was my now I know moment. That, I'm like, I will take the gracious gift.
Yeah.
Like, I will not sacrifice everything that you are and everything that you stand for, Lord, for what I think is best in this situation. So I chose not to sacrifice what God had given me out of what I had done. And in that moment, I knew I had to be a follower of Jesus, not just, a religious nut.
Yeah, a knower of Jesus, yeah.
And going back, it's, again, you're growing up in church, you're knowing the Bible. I mean, I was filled with the Spirit. I was doing the work of God. You're not immune to anything.
No, because we're still sinful people.
Yeah, and I feel like that's said in the religious community.
Right.
But it's this kind of like, we're sinful people, but we really advise you not to do it anymore.
Right.
Or just basically be better and don't do any of that stuff anymore. It's as if you can help yourself.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, well, then teach me how to navigate my, my wicked ways.
Except for that they can't, because they're sinful as well.
Right.
It just sounds good on the outside.
Yeah.
It sounds good to say stuff like that, but to do it is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It's people put people on pedestals. Mm-hmm. And we look at them as little g gods, and we look at them as, well, they can't do any wrong, and they're telling me I should do this. So why am I so bad?
Yeah.
You know, and instead of, you know, instead of going in and walking with people to say, okay, I made that mistake too, you know, and this is how I got through it.
Yeah. No, I don't get that. And I didn't get that going through this process.
Right. Yeah.
No, I got well, she's wicked and evil, and, you know, you were, you know, twisted and manipulated into this situation. And I'm like, no.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah. I'm like, and then she's getting the same thing. Like, you were twisted, manipulated in this situation. He's a chauvinist jerk. He was just trying to entrap you. You know, he took advantage of you, and like all the thing. Like, I have never had such things said about me ever in my life, and I was just like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, am I that person? Am I that wicked person? You know.
I mean, yes, but
you know,
but that wasn't your intent.
No, I'm like,
it wasn't like, no, I'm going to trick her into all of the trickery.
I had no forethought in that at all.
You just thought, I want to kiss this lady.
I was in that moment, and at that point, that was it. You know, and it's like you're having to process through all this. You're processing through the fact that you got this kid, you got this whole, like, you know, strange covenantal moment with God that you're like, okay, well, I've got this gracious gift coming. I see no hope of any redemption whatsoever. Now what? And, you know, it just took lots of prayer and lots of throwing beer boxes in the beer cooler at Fast Shop to get through all the sin and all of the, more precisely, those desires that were in my heart and the hurt that I inflicted upon myself by following those desires.
Right.
And then trying to get in a place where I could have a conversation with Cassandra and it not be, we're both angry at each other and we can't, you know, seem to get through the fact that we're both angry at each other, and we have these preconceived notions because all the people in our lives are telling us all these things about how wicked the other person is. And we were both like, well, we're pretty sure we both knew what we did at that point in time.
Right.
And we knew we did a bad thing, but what's up with all this other information? And so, I mean, to make a long story short, we did end up reconciling, and we got married 3 months before, we got married a month before Caleb was born. We were like engaged 3 months before. And that was a whirlwind ride. I mean, you got a baby right around the corner, you're getting married, you're starting a new life together with somebody, like, for the second time.
Right, yeah.
I mean, because there's this whole, like, got to reestablish trust and all the things. I don't think I was even really there, but, like, I knew that I was dedicated from the start.
Right.
And so I was like, I'll make it work. Yeah. I'll bluff my way until I get there. And,
well, I mean, that's those moments where God steps in and intervenes for you, because he knows that we suck sometimes, and that, you know, that we don't always have the words to say, or, you know, and he changes hearts. He does stuff on a spiritual side that we don't even see, you know, so he brings that peace, and he brings that, you know, he can bring that at least lower level of trust back in, you know, to where you can work things through. Yeah. And that, you know, that's the hard thing in society today is that, like, people don't want to work through things.
Right.
You know, and more so, like, talking about marriage and stuff, but it's like, you know, they don't want to say, okay, what should we do here, and actually think through the process. Yeah. They look at what the world says to do, whether it be have an abortion or like, say, with marriage, they just, we'll just get a divorce and we'll try again. Yeah. You know, and they don't think of it as a true covenant between them and the other person, and then between those two people and God.
Yeah.
And that's, that's where it fails. If you can bring God into the situation, he can heal all of the things,
Absolutely.
and it takes time.
It does.
I've seen that with my wife, is that, when I've screwed up, it takes some time, because there hurts there, you had hurts, because you felt some betrayal, I'm sure, in some of that, and she felt some betrayal, and you didn't know what, like you said, you didn't know what to do with all of those thoughts, all of those feelings, all of the stuff that piles up. Then you have all these wonderful Christians that are adding to it. Wait, no, hold on. Let me back up. All of these wonderful Christians that are adding to it. And I mean, some of them may have meant well, but at the same time, like, when somebody's struggling with that kind of stuff, you've got to come in with love.
Absolutely.
Not, you don't want to ever be like, oh, it's okay what you did, don't worry about it.
Right.
It's not that. It's like, okay, how can we fix this? How can we work through this?
Yeah.
And avoid it in the future.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the fact that you guys, were able to work through this, and now you've got some pretty cute kids, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we do.
They've got 3 now,
Fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're supposed to do, right? And they're all adorable, and they all have their own personalities. Even your little baby, she was staring at me in church, and she's adorable. She was distracting me. Sorry, Mike. She was distracting me a little bit.
She's wonderful.
It's all good.
It is.
And how long you guys been married now?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years. 3 kids. My oldest is 7.
Yeah.
My middle is 5. And my youngest is 6 months.
Yeah. And it's awesome, I love to see when God just intervenes.
Yeah.
But
man, I mean, there's nothing like marriage to be like a crucible for the heart, though.
Yeah.
Like, it is just straight up refining. And, I appreciate looking back now. Like, Cassandra and I got through a lot of things in like record time that probably most couples take 2 or 3 years to hash out. Like,
right.
The toothpaste does not matter at this point. I don't care how you squeeze the toothpaste out, or how you put the dishes up, or any of those things.
Can you talk to my wife?
Yeah, well,
The toothpaste thing, man.
Does that bother her?
Oh, extremely.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Are you a middle squeezer?
I'm just like wherever you got to grab to get the toothpaste out, because
Yeah.
I'm normally in a hurry. So,
Gotcha.
one of the other children that are in the house that are running in the bathroom can get in there to brush their teeth. So it's like, okay, whatever. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Hey, comments. Yeah, leave it in the comments. Yeah. How many of you men out there or women, what way do you go on the whole toothpaste thing? That'll be fun to see if anybody comments.
Yeah, I'll comment
on
later.
there. Yeah. I'm sure my wife will. If she watches this, she will definitely comment and make fun of me or pick on me or whatever. But it's all in fun and love.
But that's the things we didn't have to struggle with.
Yeah.
But what we did struggle with were those serious trust boundaries.
Right,
It was just, and I feel like, I can't speak for her, but I know for me,
and don't ever.
Yeah. Wise words. Never speak for your wife. I feel like from the point that I got married to today, like if there was like a growth chart, I'm like in the 90th percentile, for my walk with Jesus, because like from that point on, it's like you man up and move on. Like there's no more being this little pompous religious brat anymore. You've got to be like this man who can take care of his family.
And don't forget, you gotta like teach them too and stuff.
I'm like, God. And, just some highlights. Like, I'm a big gamer, or I was a big gamer.
Right. Yeah.
I loved anything that was a game. If it was card game, I played Magic the Gathering. I played, Dungeons and Dragons. I mean,
all the good Christian games.
Absolutely. I bring nerd to Bible nerd. I mean, I was playing video games. I mean, anything I could immerse myself into because it was my escape. But it wasn't just an escape. I was like world building. My imagination and my persona could be everything I wanted it to be in these situations.
Yeah.
That's really ridiculous. When you say it out loud, you're like, wow, you're pathetic. But, I feel like there's probably other people who feel that way out there.
Oh, those games wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
If there wasn't other people that would play them.
Otherwise you would really be the super soldier out there, fighting the evils of the world. But, God brought it to my attention one day very clearly. And this is after, Cassandra and I had multiple rounds over my, multiple hours of, gaming addiction, that he was like, here's your idol, which is the worlds that you have created. I have a world that I have created. And I want you to be a part of it. But if you want to be a part of the world that you have created, then you're no longer worshiping me.
Yeah.
You're worshiping it, which is yourself. And I'm like, thank you, Lord, for your, great compassion and mercy.
I love how God knows us intimately to know how to talk to us too.
Yeah.
Like, like your personality, knowing you and how you hear God versus like what I hear when I hear God talk are two probably totally different things.
Yeah, your self filter, how your brain filters what God's saying.
Yeah. Mine's not always great. I understand. I don't think that God really calls me an idiot, but that's just what I hear.
Yeah.
It's like, stop being a moron.
Yeah. The Holy Spirit says, I need you to be a more, robust and great person, a more image-bearing individual of God, and you're like, okay, don't be an idiot. Got it.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Eugene terms.
Yeah. Let's break this down so I can understand it. Yeah, and that's what he did. And he came in and he was like, here it is. You got a choice today. What are you going to do? And you're like, well, you're not really giving me an option, I feel like. So,
there's an option.
I guess I will participate in this world that you have created, even though it is miserable and doesn't seem to be rewarding. And, it, as ridiculous as it is, to say that you're relieved of a great burden from your gaming addiction, I was like a totally different human being at that point. Like, I could go out and mow my grass. And I could do it with some semblance of joy, because beforehand I wouldn't do it. It was like 16 feet tall, and I would have to go out there like a mowing side to get the stuff taken care of, because I was a lazy turd and wouldn't do it, because I would rather spend my time in my little universes than to invest in what God has made and what God is doing. Yeah. And that point was kind of the defining moment for me, as are you going to participate with what I'm doing? Is that real, true reality check of, this is not real. This is real. But this has rewards that you just can't see. And if you follow me and you trust me, it's going to be amazing. Yeah. And he has been so true to that. And it has been hard, because there are times where, I want to go right back to that. My desire is to flee from my misery that most of the time is self-imposed. And
what?
And to build
people do that?
Oh, yeah.
Self.
You didn't know that?
Misery?
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah. I've never done that.
Well, I'm the king of self-imposed misery. So I do it frequently.
Yeah, but it's what we do. It's what we do as humans.
It is.
We make things out to be bigger than they really are.
Yeah.
We think that God's just a a God that just wants to torture us and make us miserable and make us abide by all of his stupid rules.
His boring rules, his unfun rules.
I mean, you mean I have to like stay with my wife forever and not do anything else?
Like forever,
and then you're gonna give me kids too? No, it's amazing though. If it, like you said, if you take the time and you get out of your own little world and realize what's going on around you, take the time to get to know your kids. Kids will teach you a ton of stuff that you just didn't even think about.
Yeah.
It's like, I love it when one of my kids spouts off something about God that I never thought of. And it's like, how do you at this age come up with that?
Exactly.
Or they ask you a question, you're like,
Let me think on that deeply for a while, and I will come back.
So even in all of your studying, has any of your kids ever just completely stumped you?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
But it's good. It's humbling, though.
Yeah.
It's a humbling experience to have children.
Because with 3 of them, it's always a different perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, my son takes after me and thinks he knows everything. And so, like, his version of hearing and asking questions is like, oh, well, so you basically meant this, right, Dad? I'm like, no. Is that what I said? Because that's not what I meant. He's like, yeah, that's what that... No, I'm like, no, you're 7. I just explained this very thoroughly. How are you getting that concept? And so, and then my daughter, on the other hand, is like super deep about things. Will come up with these most random, like, so what does it really mean to eat of Jesus and to like take his blood in communion? And you're like, what does it really mean? Well, and you just try to explain it. She will come up with these even like, well, how does that relate to this? Yeah. You're like, wow, you're 5. What am I in for later in life? I'm going to have to get like a doctorate just to stay ahead.
Well, I'll just say this. I'll take that concept, but in a different way, in an older child way. And they're like, if you looked at that phrase outside of knowing like the Jesus Christian talk and say, eat his flesh and drink his blood.
Yeah, that's really
I mean,
weird,
like,
isn't it?
That's like screaming like cult,
No doubt.
But there's a whole lot, obviously there's a whole lot more to it than that. But it's just like looking, they're saying from an outsider's perspective, what do they really think of that phrase? And you're like, oh, you don't think about it when you get into get into church and you talk about it. It's normal talk, but if you look at it from an outside perspective,
and then kids are like, "That's really weird. Is that okay? Because you told me not to do stuff like that.
You told me not to bite my brother."
Yeah. So am I supposed to eat him too? Like, no,
please, no.
And you better not bite your brother again.
Or the dog.
Oh man, totally. But it is amazing what having a family will do to grow you and push you to know more about God. And I mean, every day, despite all the day-to-day struggles of having a family, the redemptiveness of having my gracious gift and the redemption of having my daughter, who her name means pure joy, and she brings pure joy every day. And then my youngest daughter, who is just full of life, and just always wants to take on the next thing. And I'm like, wow, so much, you see so much of a person, even from such a small age. And you start seeing their personalities, and you're like, wow, God, what you do with us every single day. And how, as much as a parent, like, wants to foster those good things in their kids, like, how much more, like, are you doing that with your spirit? You bring it every single day, and you're guiding us in those new ways. And I'm just blown away at those things. But, if there's anything I could say from my story, is that don't think that just getting into church is going to make your life better. And, so many people I know and have heard, well, I need to get my life straightened up before I come to God. And that's just hogwash, because the people who look like they got it together, they're falling all to pieces.
They don't have it together.
They can't hold it together. And that's the glory and the wonder of Jesus, is that we don't have to have it together.
No.
He had it together.
Yeah.
He was the one who had the plan of God in place, and he walked on this earth, and he did everything according to the way God wants all of us to do.
Yeah. And he puts it together for us.
Absolutely.
We'll never have it.
Absolutely. But
until we
we
get to
have
heaven.
Such a high priest, though, who can stand before the Father as pure and holy, and who got it right, and can set that standard for us. And he gave himself for us, so that even when we have our ultra stupid moments and we allow
some more than others,
the desires of our hearts to overcome us, and that's been the tragedy of humanity from the beginning, is that we desired what was before us, and we took it, and we defined what was good and what was evil for ourselves, and we ruin everything by doing that. But God, over and over and over again, comes back to us and says, you got another chance. I'm making a new covenant with you today. Let's do it. Let's get up and let's start fresh. And that's the glory of the cross, is that through his sacrifice of the perfect person, sacrifice himself for me, then I get to walk in that perfection in him. And if you allow that to fill your desires, those desires that make you want to look at porn because you just want to have dominance over something in your life, or because you're a horny bugger, or whatever else, I'll just have straight language here, I mean, those things that make you want to commit adultery, those things in your life that make you want to run from reality and drown yourself and all these video games and all the things that the world is offering in abundance, especially today.
Oh, absolutely.
You can sit in front of Game of Thrones for years and
are you still watching?
And it'll just keep on playing. And you can sleep through it, wake up, and it's still going. Thank you, Netflix. And
thank you, Netflix.
you try and you try and you try all your life to fill those things that are aching inside of you and those cravings that are inside of you. And the New Testament defines that as desire or lust or the Greek word itself is epithemia, which is like a craving. It's like I'm hungry and I need something to eat so that I can be sustained, and that's the thing I need, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it. And that's the word that is translated as lust. That's where 2:22 gets that word lust.
Yeah.
So when it says you flee from youthful lust, it's those more young things like, I've got it all under control and I'm going to get that and I'm going to do it right. It's that ego on top of the craving that causes all sorts of problems.
Right. The craving that you go after, and it's absolutely the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because we're all addicted to something.
Absolutely.
And that's, I had a pastor say once that, God gave us the spirit of addiction, but it's our choice, through free will. It's our choice to do what we want with that addiction. His hope, of course, is that we'll be addicted to him and all of the good things that come in life that he brings.
Yeah.
But than, you know, the wonderful adversary that's walking around, you know, prowling for us and trying to kill us, and, you know, just to get back at God for getting the boot. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, he comes at us with all of the things like, you know, the sexual drunkenness and, you know, having, I mean, God gave us hormones, but he twisted in a manner to say, oh, it's okay. Take it an inch further. Take it an inch further. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be married one day. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Exactly.
You'll be all right. You're going to marry this girl. I'm saying from experience as well. Not with Jazz, but previous relationships. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to marry this girl. I'm going to marry this girl. We're good.
Yeah.
You know, and then you take it way too far.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, oh wait, crap, she's not the one.
Yeah. Whoops.
Sorry, God. Try this again. And he's like, okay, try to get it right this time. You know, but anyway, you know, it's those things.
That was that God filter thing we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. God's like, come on, don't be stupid this time. Don't be an idiot. You've got this. I've shown you the right path.
Yeah.
You know, he spells it out, you know, and sometimes he does bring those people into our life that does at least expand on it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, but my hope is that, like, videos like this that will get out there, that maybe somebody can use even a part of this to say, okay, here's how other people have screwed up, you know. And I know it's not always going to work, because I remember being a teenager and people always saying, well, here's how I screwed up and here's how you should avoid it. And I'm like, yeah, right, I won't fall into that.
Right.
Because I'm so wise in my 16 years of age.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to say one more thing. You know, we were talking about earlier about our mothers, you know, or your mom in particular. You were saying how, you know, she kind of, you know, gave you some advice and all of that. And I love my mom to death, like, adore her. I wish, like, I knew my dad would have never, ever had the talk with me. But her talk wasn't a whole lot better. Hers was, you aren't, are you? Meaning having sex. And of course, me being whatever age I was, I don't remember, you know, late teens, maybe even early 20s, and she's just now having this conversation with me.
Yeah.
And I look her in the face and say, no. And she goes, well, if you do, just be safe about it. And that was end of conversation.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. I was like, first of all, you're a little late on the subject. Second of all, you know, I'm lying straight to your face.
Well, my mom was a biology teacher, so I got the like scientific breakdown of it, and that was like, I'm good.
I did after. It was my fault that I had to give the talk to some of my daughters, because I had made the trip to India, and then we made a video, and I was talking about sex trafficking. We played that video in church. She was sitting there watching. So we get home, and she goes, Dad, I need to talk to you about something. I was like, oh, crap. I knew right away. I didn't even have to think about it. You know, I was like, she's going to ask. And we go in the other room, and she starts talking, and I was like, Jess! I was like, I need your help on this one, because I know how I would explain it to a guy, but to explain that to my daughter, and yes, I was just, it was a beautiful thing when she goes, ew. I was like, yes, ew. Yes. Ew is the exact response I need from you right now, and forever until you're 33 when you can get married.
Right.
And one day you'll have that joy of getting to really tell your kids the whole story of how that all works. But I'll just pray that it just, you know, lasts a while.
I plan on taking my mother's approach and just being scientific and just
completely mortify them, get it over with, and go on with life. Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. It's definitely been good to hear your story. I really hope that somebody out there, you know, that resonates with somebody as to, you know, maybe something that they're have gone through, are going through, you know, to know that there is hope, there is life, there is grace, there is mercy when you just turn it over to God and let Him handle it.
Absolutely.
Because every time He hands it to, or that we try to take it ourselves, I shouldn't say that He hands it to us, because He's not going to hand it to us. Well, sometimes He lets us just go off on our own, just to, you know, Okay, that's again what I hear in the filter. I sometimes wonder if God's like,
You
idiot. Anyway, sorry. No, but there's love and there's mercy and there's hope and there's grace, abundance of grace. Even though we may screw up over and over again. The problem is with us, we sometimes get a harder heart every time we screw up, and we're like, well, we've screwed up this far. Why do we need to worry about trying to be perfect?
Yeah.
We'll just let it run, and just go on, full blast. But that's not where God wants us to be. He wants us to just call out, and just to be like, Lord, look, okay, I screwed up. Where can I go from here? And then pray about who to talk to. I always talk about like finding somebody to talk to that that you trust, that will give you good, Christianly honest advice, that will hold your hand to walk you through those situations.
Preferably someone who has experienced the redemption of it. Not someone who's still struggling with it, or someone who has been hurt by it.
Right.
Because Cassandra and I both had people in our lives that were hurt.
Oh, yeah. No,
and so hurt speaks into it to draw out more hurt.
Right. Yeah.
And even if the hurt wasn't there.
Right. Right.
So it is extremely important to find some, and if you don't know, find somebody who could direct you to somebody.
And even, leave a comment, send an email.
Yeah.
I'll be more than glad to talk about it. I'm sure you would,
Sure.
To be able to see the redemption and the good side of this, what God really can do if you allow him to do it. But yeah, I mean, that's all we have for this time. Hopefully you stuck through to this end. I think it was a great story. I think everything needed to be said so you could see from beginning to end. And so I thank you for sharing that with me and everybody else. And I'm sure you'll be back in here and we'll talk some more.
It'll be a lot of fun. I'll be looking forward to it.
I don't know what all we're going to talk about, but we'll talk about stuff.
Cool.
But thanks for watching. Again, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button, the thumbs up if you liked it. And, check us out on all the social media stuff where we try to share some good information now and again. And thanks so much for watching. Have a great one.